I'm going to play a couple of videos, once again, from Biden's trip to Europe. This time he is in Brussels, meeting with NATO members and EU members. One and the same, NATO and EU. There's really no difference there. But once again, he's fielding questions about Vladimir Putin. And it is playing out exactly as I thought this would play out. In other words, they're trying to frame Biden as the tough guy, the capable, strong, confident leader who is going to confront the evil autocrat and dictator Vladimir Putin. And the media is playing to this perfectly. They are reading the script as they have been directed. So the videos I'm going to play for you, once again, the media is doing their part. They're playing their role perfectly. They're reading the script really nicely, doing a great job of acting, and they're asking Joe Biden, how are you going to confront killer Putin? And Joe Biden has a brain freeze. I mean, a literal brain freeze. That's the first video. There is another video that I'm going to play for you guys where they ask Biden about Navalny and what would happen if Navalny were to die. And of course, Biden answers that question as well. He says there's going to be a price to pay should Navalny perish and all of this nonsense. And then I'm going to play a video from you from the NBC News interview that took place on Monday with Russian President Vladimir Putin and NBC News. And it's really interesting because the NBC News journalist, and I say that word lightly, let's say the NBC News actor, was pressing Vladimir Putin once again on Navalny, and should Navalny die, and did he order Navalny's assassination with the poisoning hoax and all that ridiculous stuff that happened. And Putin just completely crushes this journalist. Guys, watch the video. He crushes it. He brings up January 6th. He brings up the fact that the United States is holding people in solitary confinement with by only charging them with trespassing, not with insurrection and treason and all this other stuff. They're holding people in prison in DC on trespassing charges, solitary confinement, and Putin just completely crushes them. Even Tucker Carlson called this out, and he was even stunned that Putin went there, and he demolished this NBC journalist. Anyway, guys, I'm going to play these 3 videos. One final note. The media is bringing up Navalny a lot now, and they're tying Navalny to having some sort of tragic death. Now, I'm going to be careful in what I say, but I find this very troubling for Navalny. If I was Navalny, I would be listening very closely to what the media are saying. Maybe they've been tipped off about some sort of deep state plot. Maybe the deep state is going to sacrifice Navalny. Maybe something's going to happen there. I don't know, guys, but it makes me very nervous that we're starting to hear the media talk a lot about Navalny in the context of if Navalny were to die. If Navalny were to die. That's what they're saying now all the time. So just a little bit of just food for thought. I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but you know, this is it's a red flag. If I were Navalny, I would be like, oh crap, something's about to go down. And not from the Russian side, from the deep state side. So Navalny needs to be careful. Probably better if he stays in prison, to be quite honest. Maybe he's safer there. Anyway, guys, I don't know. Anyway, it's just really strange that they're tying this up, this Navalny tragic death thing. They're tying it together. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Take care.
In a weekend interview, Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that still your belief, sir, that he is a killer? And I'll continue the trend if you don't mind of asking a second question. Do you believe if he does agree to cooperate, then what kind of a challenge do you find yourself in? How would you ever trust him? And if Ronald Reagan said trust but verify, what do you say to Vladimir Putin?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do. But look, when I was asked that question on air, I answered it honestly. But it's not much of a, I don't think it matters a whole lot in terms of this next meeting we're about to have. The second question was, I'd verify first and then trust. In other words, everything would have to be shown to be actually occurring. It's not about, trusting. It's about agreeing.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have two questions about Vladimir Putin. The first is, have any of the world leaders you've met with this week expressed concern that by meeting with President Putin this early in your presidency, that it'll look like you're rewarding him?
What's your second question?
The second question is what it will mean for the U.S.-Russia relationship if Alexei Navalny were to die or be killed in prison.
Every world leader here as a member of NATO that spoke today, and most of them mentioned it, thanked me for meeting with Putin now. Every single one that spoke. And I think there were probably about 10 or 12 that spoke to it, saying they were happy that I did that I was going to do that. And they thought it was thoroughly appropriate that I do. And I had discussions with them about, in the open, about what they thought was important from their perspective and what they thought was not important. And so the interesting thing is, I know, and I'm not being critical of the press, I really mean this, I give my word. But generically, you all thought, was Biden meeting him too soon? I haven't found a world leader who doesn't think it's not soon, it's just soon enough. Everyone that I've spoken to, privately and publicly, it doesn't mean there aren't some out there, but it's not likely that a head of state is going to stand up in front of 29 other heads of state and say, boy, I'm glad you're doing this, in effect. So there is a consensus. And they thanked me for being willing to talk with them about the meeting and what I intended to do. So I haven't found any reluctance. There may be someone, but not in open today or in the meetings I privately had as well. And Navalny's death would be another indication that Russia has little or no intention of abiding by basic fundamental human rights. It would be a tragedy. It would do nothing but hurt his relationships with the rest of the world, in my view, and with me.
We are living through the transformation of a formerly democratic republic into something else. We're looking at growing authoritarianism. That's not an overstatement. Vladimir Putin knows authoritarian systems very well, and he sees clearly what is happening in this country. Watch this.
Did you order Alexei Navalny's assassination?
Of course not. We don't have this kind of habit of assassinating anybody. That's one. Number two is, I want to ask you, did you order the assassination of the woman who walked into the Congress and who was shot and killed by a policeman? Do you know that 450 individuals were arrested after entering the Congress, and they didn't go there to steal a laptop. They came with political demands.
Okay, so yeah. We just played tape of Vladimir Putin. Now, under normal circumstances, we would never play tape of a foreign adversary criticizing our government. But honestly, those are fair questions. Who did shoot Ashley Babbitt, and why don't we know? Are anonymous federal agents now allowed to kill unarmed women who protest the regime? That's okay now? No, it's not okay. It'll never be okay. And why are all those January 6th protesters still in prison on trespassing charges, as so many Biden voters who torched federal buildings walking free? What's the answer to that question? If all of that was going on in Russia, we would rightly call it scary. We would call Putin a dictator. In fact, we do call him a dictator.